Look closely at the nation often hailed as the technological promised land. You see the neon lights pulsing with electric energy, the bullet trains slicing through the countryside, and a reputation for futuristic innovation that has held the world's imagination for decades. But strip away the cyberpunk aesthetic, and you will find a nation in the grip of a catastrophe so slow, so quiet, and yet so absolute that the world has barely noticed it is terminal. This is not a crash of screaming stockbrokers and burning banks. It is a silent heart failure. Japan is dying. Not metaphorically, but literally. Right now, as you watch this, the country is shrinking by one person every single minute. Schools are closing at a rate of 450 per year, converted into nursing homes or left to rot. Entire villages have gone dark, reclaimed by nature, their only inhabitants the spirits of the past. This is the silent crash, an economic implosion driven not by speculation, but by the brutal math of existence. And the most terrifying part? It is a preview of exactly what is coming for the rest of the developed world. To understand why this crash is inevitable, look past the skyscrapers of Shinjuku and into the empty cradles. The year 2025 marked a psychological turning point where births in Japan collapsed to under 700,000, the lowest level since records began in the 19th century. A nation of 124 million people is failing to replace itself at a catastrophic rate. The government forecasts the population will plummet to 87 million by 2070, but the contraction is happening 17 years faster than predicted. This isn't just a demographic statistic. It is an economic death sentence. An economy is the sum of people producing and consuming. When you remove the people, the economy doesn't just shrink, it breaks. Every year, Japan loses a population equivalent to a mid-sized city. That is fewer people buying cars, fewer taking out mortgages, and crucially, fewer paying taxes to support the oldest population on the planet. We are witnessing the first modern industrialized civilization simply fade away. This brings us to the financial ticking time bomb, the debt. Japan carries the heaviest public debt burden of any developed nation, over 260% of GDP. For decades, economists shrugged this off, arguing that because Japanese citizens held the debt, there was no risk. But that logic relied on a population with high savings and young workers. Both pillars are crumbling. The legendary Japanese saver is now a retiree selling bonds to live. The government is borrowing frantically just to keep the lights on. In 2025 alone, debt servicing costs just paying the interest consumed nearly a quarter of the national budget. Imagine a household where 25% of income goes to credit card interest before buying food. Now imagine your income is shrinking every year. That is the trap Japan is in. The walls are closing in from the outside, too. For years, the Bank of Japan kept interest rates at rock bottom to stimulate inflation. Now, global inflation has forced their hand. As rates inch up to 1.5%, the interest payments on that colossal mountain of debt are set to explode. It is a mathematical trap. If they raise rates to save the currency, they bankrupt the government. If they keep rates low, the yen collapses, destroying the purchasing power of every citizen. We are already seeing the currency rot. The yen has lost a third of its value in just a few years. This is the bad kind of depreciation. It's not making exports cheaper, it's making survival expensive. Japan imports almost all its energy and food. When the yen dies, electricity bills soar. Real wages have been falling for nearly 2 years. The average worker is getting poorer every day, trapped in a suffocating cycle of stagflation. Walk through the streets of a rural town, and you will see the physical scars. The Akiya. These are ghost houses. Abandoned homes nobody wants, and nobody can inherit because taxes are too high. There are over 9 million of them now, more than the total homes in New York City. Entire neighborhoods are turning into ghost towns. This destroys local economies. A town with empty houses, pays no tax, supports no grocer, and needs no school. The infrastructure, roads, bridges, water pipes built in the booming 1980s is now crumbling. There is no money and no manpower to fix it. We are seeing bridges closed because there aren't enough engineers to inspect them. This is the infrastructure of a G7 nation falling apart because there are no humans left to maintain it. Corporate Japan is paralyzed by a labor shortage that has shifted from an inconvenience to an existential threat. 2/3 of companies cannot find enough workers. You might think this would drive up wages, but the structural rigidity of the economy and crushing social security premiums mean take-home pay remains stagnant. Small businesses are giving up. Bankruptcies driven by labor shortages hit a record high last year. These are profitable ramen shops and precision factories closing, not because they lack customers, but because they lack a workforce. The 2024 problem in logistics has slowed delivery times across the country. The engine of the economy is seizing up. And what is the solution? Robots? Immigration? Japan is trying both, but it's too little, too late. Automation is impressive, but robots don't buy houses or pay income tax. Immigration has been historically taboo, and even as doors open, the weak yen makes Japan unattractive. Why would a talented engineer move to Tokyo to earn wages that are losing value against the dollar, when they could go to Australia or Korea? Japan is no longer an economic magnet. It is becoming a budget destination for tourists marveling at cheap sushi, oblivious that their cheap lunch is a symptom of the locals' impoverishment. The psychological toll is profound. The concept of shoshin, or beginner's mind, has been replaced by resignation. The Satori generation has given up on ambition. They don't buy cars, don't drink, and don't marry. They look at their parents, overworked salarymen who sacrificed everything for stagnating companies, and see no future worth fighting for. The social contract has been shredded. You cannot stimulate an economy where consumers have decided desire is pointless. We see the rise of the 80 to 50 problem, where 80-year-old parents support 50-year-old reclusive children who have withdrawn from society entirely. The government's response feels like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Trillions of yen spent on child-rearing support fails because money isn't the problem. Time and hope are. Cash handouts don't compensate for a culture that demands 14-hour days and punishes mothers. The political class, dominated by the elderly, prioritizes pensions over innovation. They are protecting the present at the expense of the future, subsidizing dying industries rather than investing in growth, creating zombie companies that suck up resources meant for startups. This is the silent crash. It doesn't look like a disaster movie. It looks like a slow fading of the light. It looks like a shuttered shop in a bustling arcade. It looks like a silent playground. It looks like an elderly woman dying alone, found months later, Kodokushi, the lonely death. It is the silence of a factory that stopped running because the owner retired with no successor. Why should you care? Because Japan is the canary in the coal mine. South Korea, China, Italy, Germany, they are all following this trajectory. Japan is just 20 years ahead. The Japanification of the global economy is the nightmare scenario. Low growth, low inflation, high debt, and demographic collapse. We are watching a unique experiment. What happens when an industrialized civilization stops reproducing? The answer is terrifying. There is a moment in every crash where momentum becomes irreversible. For Japan, that moment has passed. The virtuous cycle of growth is a fantasy. The vicious cycle of decline is reality. As the population falls, the domestic market shrinks, investment flees, wages stagnate, people don't have kids. The wheel turns, grinding the world's fourth largest economy into dust. Debt requires growth to be sustainable. Japan's future is smaller than its present, meaning the debt cannot be paid. It can only be defaulted on or inflated away, destroying national wealth. The tragedy is that Japan is still a beautiful, safe, polite society. Trains run on time, streets are clean. But this comfort is deceptive, like a warm bath slowly turning cold. The systems sustaining this life are breaking. The social security net is fraying. Municipalities are bankrupt. The silent crash is the sound of a country quietly ceasing to be a superpower, beginning a long descent into obscurity. It is a warning. Demography is destiny, and once the math turns against you, there is no escape. The crash isn't coming. It is here, and it is silent.